One of the secrets behind the remarkable social and economic progress achieved by this country over the last 40 years has been our deep respect for democracy and the rule of law. Democracy is therefore an important standard of evaluation for the legitimate managing of all power relations in which we are involved, and by implication for the propriety and meaning of all social action. At its highest attainment, democracy will include not only the constitutional level of the nation state, but also participation, responsibility, initiative, and competence in one's immediate micro-political environment.
Democracy is about the people, it's about institutions of government, and it's also about our participation in the running of the affairs of our nation and guaranteeing our own individual and collective rights as a people.
Botswana think that democracy is the government of the people, for the people, by the people. Their understanding there is that the people themselves are paramount. The people themselves are the ones who elect the government, electing that government for themselves, so that that government should govern them.
It's very critical that each and every individual plays a part. It is only through their elections, their participation in structures in government, that then the government can know what the public itself wants and how best they can meet those needs of the public. And therefore, I urge all of us not only to be interested in democracy in terms of elections, but in terms of also of continuously reminding our rulers of what our needs are and what our rights and their obligations to us are.
In order to elect that government, there should be many parties to compete. And that competition also, it gives Botswana the chance of choosing the party they want to choose. Botswana understand it in that way. Not only parties in Botswana, there are individuals who would like to perhaps to be voted in as councillors and parliamentarians.
Democracy is not what the rulers give you. Democracy is about what your participation, what your role as an individual is in terms of the governance of your own country.
Botswana enjoys and continues to explore its diverse resources and is among the wealthy states of the world south of the Sahara. Other African states view it as an icon of peace and democracy, as is enshrined in its national policies. Since independence, elections were run by the office of the president, except for a short spell when they were administered by the supervisor of elections. There was general discontent in political circles about the running of elections by the supervisor of elections, whom was seen as a one-man show.
Before this office was established, people who were running, these elections were public servants from A to Z. We used to have, for instance, before the supervisor of election was appointed, we used to have the permanent secretary to the president run the general elections.
I think to say the elections were run by the office of the president is slightly misleading, because it was very specific that it's not run by the office of the president, but it was run by the permanent secretary to the president as a special responsibility for him, not this time acting as the PS to the president, but happening to be given an additional duty of running elections.
A decision was reached by government and the All-Party Conference, and a national referendum was held in 1997, which resulted in the amendment of the Constitution to accommodate the establishment of the Independent Electoral Commission. The Independent Electoral Commission was established by Section 65A of the Constitution of Botswana in 1997. The section also establishes the composition of the Commission. The Commission comprises 7 members headed by a chairperson and a deputy chairperson, as stipulated in Section 65A. The chairperson of the Commission shall be a judge of the High Court, while the deputy chairperson shall be a legal practitioner. The two are appointed directly by the Judicial Services Commission. The Judicial Services Commission also appoints 5 other members from a list of persons recommended by the All-Party Conference.
The referendum and the establishment of the IEC actually brought hope for the politics of this country, in the sense that this is what political parties have been advocating for, that we need to have an independent electoral body that will run elections in this country. And therefore, yes, I think it was a good move to actually have the IEC in this country, like in other SADC countries that run elections by their independent electoral commissions.
I really don't think it has affected politics in any way, other than that it has affected perceptions, because those who thought the director of elections, in that case the permanent secretary to the president at that time, was acting as part of the office of the president, were mistaken. But it gave people satisfaction, I suppose, from the standpoint that justice should not only be done but be seen to be done. So in this time it was seen to be done, because the director was somebody separate from the office of the president.
First of all, there's quite a lot of interaction between the IEC and political parties that exist in the country, which thing you see was not there. And there's quite some input that is made in how the IEC should handle its portfolio.
One other thing that was also agreed upon by the All-Party Conference, apart from the establishment of the IEC, was the reduction of the voting age from 21 to 18. And for the first time in the history of this country, we actually had an independent electoral body conducting elections for the first time in the history of this country, which was a very positive move, yes.
The office is the secretariat of the commission. And I do believe that, on day-to-day matters, they could actually be working in the office, but the commission should be close enough, such that by the time the present office, issues the report to the commission already knows exactly what is going on in there.
We take the existence of IEC office being very valuable to Botswana democracy, especially that it gives credibility to our elections. And due to the processes that they undergo, we believe they continue to strengthen our democracy.
I mean, if the commission were just to say, okay, we meet once a quarter, just for example, and from there they go and disappear, and not just not being briefed at all, then it would be unfortunate, just to be receiving the reports. And of course, my assumption was that the members of the commission are so close to this office that the secretary is reporting to the chairman on a daily, if not a weekly basis. At least they are so close that they know exactly what is going on, such that when the reports come, the chairman and his commission already know what's coming.
There were a few things that were introduced simultaneously with the establishment of the Electoral Commission. One of them was the introduction of ballot papers in our electoral process.
IEC has grown significantly since its establishment. It has spread throughout the country with 21 offices in all the districts, catering for the electorate. The organization, despite all the constraints, strives to serve the electorate and satisfy all provisions of the Electoral Act. These offices are manned by principal election officers. However, IEC will have 25 area offices by the end of 2007.
With the establishment of the Independent Electoral Commission, the Commission, after its inception, discussed this issue seriously and realized that for it to function in an efficient manner, there's a need for it to establish itself, have all the officers that can assist it to do its job efficiently. That is when the different offices were established. 20 offices were established in the districts. And here at headquarters, the different units were also established. The IT unit, which was being run by 2 officers, was now expanded to be run by 8 officers. The information education unit was also established. Then the elections unit, where we had only 2 people, was also expanded with a view to have it working together with the people who are in the districts.
Manpower has affected the operations of this organization because we now have people all over the country situated or placed at different centers of this country who are able to assist the voters, the electorate, in updating whatever information they require. Continuous registration goes on, and they're able to issue duplicate voters registration cards.
All this stuff that was brought into fore made it possible for us as the IEC to spread out, to link with the grassroots using the offices that are out there, to have all the services taken to the people, which is very, very crucial in any organization.
Resources are not adequate in the sense that for them to compile a voter's roll, they do that manually. And then they have to send the list of voters to head office so that voters' rolls could be compiled, because they don't have the necessary equipment to do that where they are.
I would say really this is a situation that has improved the performance of the IEC, because now we know that Botswana know that we are not only dealing with them through a remote control. We are dealing with them right on the spot. They are able to get the assistance, as I said, right away when they need that assistance.
The names take long to be processed once they have been submitted from the regions. What I'm trying to say here is that voters are registered where they are, out in the districts, under the continuous registration exercise. And names are sent here instead of being compiled where they are. And this takes long for the names to mature after publication.
We have also been able to expand our information education unit by establishing a section that is a section that deals with broadcasting services, because we have been able to acquire the out broadcast vehicle that is always out there to reach out to the people, especially when it comes to civic and voter education. I would say this is something that really is commendable, because now we have been able to take away some of the serious issues that were being somehow compromised, like the civic and voter education.
IEC envisions that it will be a reputable facilitator in the creation of true democracy through an informed electorate, and that it will be transparent, independent, accountable, and accessible in the execution of its mandate, ensuring legitimacy of the people's political representatives.
IEC vision means that the IEC has undertaken to promote and sustain democratic values in this country through, one, the efficient conduct of free, fair and transparent elections, and two, through public education.
As you'd appreciate, I mean, we have a strategic plan that, contains our vision and our mission. And indeed, our strategic plan complies with the wishes of Vision 2016 and the National Development Plan. So that's the document that I can say is the guiding document for our purposes.
Which were very successful. We have also had a referendum and several by-elections. Both the conduct and results of these elections were accepted widely by our stakeholders.
The Commission is made up of able men and women who indeed come up with workable resolutions that the Secretariat then implements. And if we are looking at the Secretariat, I think we cannot look at implementing the decisions of the Commission without looking at the resources that are available to the Secretariat. One has to commend Parliament and the government for making such resources readily available to us. Yes, indeed, I have to acknowledge that we do not always get what we want, but we get the bulk of what would have asked for from the Minister of Finance that ultimately gets approved by Parliament. So indeed, one can say, unlike other departments and unlike other IECs elsewhere, the government and Parliament are very, very sympathetic with our requests.
The mandate of IEC is to manage the electoral process and provide civic and voter education. The organization, therefore, has identified various modes of discourse through which voter education and other activities of the organization are rolled out.
Presently, what I see through is the little funding that he gets from the government, the voter education that he embarks on, makes it to have it on a seasonal basis. That is, when we are nearer to elections or whenever there's by-elections, that's when there's some kind of voter education taking place. But voter education needs to be ongoing.
The manner in which we educate the public is in a number of ways. The main one is usually through workshops and khotla meetings. This is mainly used as a method that can reach many electorates. As you would know that Botswana is a very big country, and it is through khotlas and workshops that we realized we could reach the majority of our people. But we also have other methods such as using the media and both print and electronic. That is use of television and use of radio stations and use of newspapers in order to disseminate voter education to our relevant stakeholders.
You should know the organizations in your area, as I've already indicated. You should know how many youth groups are there, how many churches are there, and other non-governmental organizations, so that when you want to separate them, for example, if I want to talk to youth only, I can call youth groups, and I can call a big number of them because I know how many organizations are there in a village. If I want to talk to churches, also I know how many churches are there. I will call them in big numbers, knowing if there are 20 churches, I can call about 10 people per church, which means there are 200 people from churches only.
Obviously, the workshop method is usually a very effective one because that one is a controlled environment. You choose a list of candidates or participants that you would wish to participate, and because of that you have a varied section of people that you invite, depending on the stakeholders and the categories that you wish to invite.
Usually, for example, if there are other documents which perhaps like the notes, like pamphlets, all those things, I send them to the people. In fact, I go with them as I address meeting. I issue them out. Ballot papers, When I talk about a ballot paper, they should be able to see what a ballot paper is all about.
Television is a very exciting method of, reaching people, because people, when they see themselves appear in television, that excites them. We have seen that when we started using our OB van, we are informed that it is a crowd puller when it goes, around the country. When we train people using it, it is really a crowd puller. And even in our national, television station, we get feedback that a lot of people do see our jingles and respond to us that they have seen those adverts. So it means it makes a bigger impact.
People do not know why they are voting. People, they are still depending on, for example, on parties, but they don't know what really they are voting for. What do they want? You see, they just treat voting as voting. So the most important thing is for them to understand the real meaning of democracy, the responsibilities of elected representatives, so that when they vote, they should really know what they are voting for. You move around addressing meetings, they will tell you that since we have voted for so and so, we have never seen him. Simple because perhaps that person doesn't know his responsibilities. And the people did not know why they were voting for him. Some vote simply because he's my brother. Some may vote simply because he's my cousin, he's a member of my church. Without really having studied the people or the people who come to them to sell their ideas to them, they don't know what they're voting for. So it's a big task. We need to educate them.
As a new dispensation, in 1999, we had some problems with the ballot paper to the extent that, there were 4.9% rejected ballot papers that could not be accepted as an indication of the voter as to which party he has voted for. Over the period of 5 years to the next elections in 2004, this problem ISO was reduced by more than 50% to just about 2.2%. And I can gladly report that as we move towards 2009, this seems to be even reduced further to less than 1%. So I'm hopeful that come 2009, we might have reduced the ISO by between 85 and 90%.
We need to effect changes in our electoral law, and the IEC needs to improve its efficiency, particularly during the poll itself. The process has been found to proceed very slowly. We have now put strategies in place to speed up the process of voting and of counting. There is also another area where the IEC is most concerned, and this is the registration of voters. So far, more than 40% of the people who are eligible to vote do not turn up to register.